Well, thank you, Shubhanita. That was a highlight. Highlight of a fire alarm test. Well, yes, so I think I'll be on air. Testing. So, yeah, welcome to everyone here at the lovely Lotus Hall of the Manchester Buddhist Centre. And also welcome to everyone who's joining us online on YouTube. So it's really great to have you all here, have us all here, to celebrate, as Vishankar was just saying, it's a really important rite of passage for us, really, as a Sangha, the handing over of the role of Mitra Convenor for women from Suryaka to Shubhanita, and our two beautifully matching in blue up the front here. That's Suryaka on our right and Shubhanita on the left. So Shub is Suryaka, both beginning with S as well, SU in fact. Suryaka has been Mitra Convenor here for 4 years, and Shubhanita they've just been working in tandem for a little bit of a handover, and so Shubhanita is going to be our, maybe already, well, but by the end of the afternoon, she'll be our new Women's Mitra Convenor. So, yeah, the afternoon's going to be in 2 parts, or you could say 3 parts. So, first of all, we're going to spend lots of time with Suryaka. So, Suryaka, not only has she been Mitra Convenor at the Buddhist Centre for these 4 years, she's actually worked in and around and for the Buddhist Centre for 19 of the last 21 years. 19 of the last 21 years. And I'm going to say a bit later on to give a bit of history to what Suryaka has been, how she's been giving of herself really in that time. And I know Suryaka is very well known, very well loved in our Sangha. And yeah, we're sort of, in a sense, sad to see her go, but she's moving into a new phase in her life, which she'll be sharing a bit about later on as well. And we'll have a chance to hear some rejoicings in her later on too, so that's all in the first part of the afternoon. Was I going to say anything else about that? Yeah, I think that's the main thing. So that's going to be the first part of the afternoon, all dedicated to Suryaka as our outgoing Women Mitra Convenor, and then we'll have a 10-minute leg stretch, and then we'll be moving into the realm of Shubhanita. She who is led by beauty, I think that's what her name means. And Suryaka's name is she who resembles the sun, the radiant quality of Suryaka. And yeah. So in the second part of the afternoon, we're going to be hearing a little bit about Shubhanita. We'll be introduced to Shubhanita by Leela Shuri. Yeah, and then Lizzie will rejoice in Shubhanita as well. And then Shubhanita's have a little chance to talk as well about herself as she steps into the new role. And then we're going to have a puja in which there's the handover ceremony, the ritual handover, which Lokeshwara, as chair of the centre, will conduct that puja, which is very traditional in Triratna, to have the chair of the centre as a sort of unifying factor, bringing the whole Sangha together and sort of leading us in an inspiring, sort of ritual context. There are some ritual implements, I'm not sure if implements is the right word, mythic symbols, which Suryaka has held and has been inspired by for the last 4 years, and they'll be, Lokeshwara is going to explain how they'll be passed on to the new Mitra Convenor later on. So I think I've said what's going to happen most of the time, except, so first of all, we'll salute the shrine, we'll salute the 3 jewels in call and response, and I'll lead that. And then fairly soon, straight after that, Karanatara is going to come forward. I'll invite Karanatara to come forward. She's been Suryaka's Mitra Convening assistant for much of that time, and I know they've worked together very, very closely and sort of sparked each other off a lot. There's a lot of the creative energy that's come from Suryaka. They've sort of brought it out together, I think, and sort of just built on each other's inspiration. So she's going to tell us what a Mitra Convenor is, which is the fundamental thing that we need to know at the beginning of the afternoon. Okay, so let's salute the shrine now in call and response. Namo Buddhaya. Namo Buddhaya. So I might invite Karen Atara to come forward now. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, it's really great to see so many people here. There's a lot of people in the room. For those of you online, there's probably 60, 70 people here, 60 people here. It's fantastic. Really lovely. And thank you, Sarah. So apparently I've got 3 minutes, and I've really got no idea how long what I'm going to say is going to take, so I'll do my best. So, yeah, first of all, I thought I'd say that actually I was reading the job spec. I'm not going to read the job spec, but I was looking at the job spec for Mitra convening. And actually, some of the background is to say, I thought this was really lovely to share, that Sangha, the founder of our movement, inaugurated the post of the Mitra convener, and he insisted it was a spiritual rather than an organisational appointment. Can everybody hear me all right, by the way? Is that great? Cool. Thanks for the waves at the back. So obviously, a Mitra convener needs to have an effective spiritual practice. They are channeling something through them, aren't they, for the Sangha? And they need to be able to generate consistent positive mental states. I thought that was quite hard. That's quite something, isn't it? And they need to be an exemplar of someone living the spiritual life. So it's quite a weighty role that the Mitra conveners here in Manchester hold, the two Mitra conveners hold with the chair really, the spiritual well-being of the whole of the Sangha. They work alongside the team here, and they make an inordinate amount of things happen. They may not do them themselves, but they make a lot happen. And I was thinking, how can I talk about that without talking about they did this, they did that? And I was thinking, I wanted to ask, here in the room, we've got a number of Mitra conveners in the room, actually. There's a couple of ex-Mitra conveners here, which is lovely. They're first ever women's Mitra conveners here at the back of the room, and Padmadarshini, and obviously Vishankar. So we've got various Mitra conveners here. And I'm thinking maybe we can all think, in the room, maybe we can all think back, we probably all had an interaction with a Mitra convener at some stage in our spiritual journey. And I was thinking maybe that's the way to think of it, actually, thinking back when we first started, when we caught the Dharma, and we met with our Mitra convener. We met with our Mitra convener because we wanted to go deeper in our spiritual practice. So maybe we'd been at classes that they might have been at, or they might have run an event to encourage you to go deeper or further. Or you might have come to a day's event here at the centre and thought, yeah, I'd like to do something. And they have made all of those events happen. They have made those opportunities for you to catch the Dharma. So maybe you met with a Mitra convener and you said, I'm doing a bit of this and I'm wondering what to do next. And they really took you in and they really understood who you were. And you really had that sense maybe that they got you and they said, maybe you'd like to support a class, or maybe you'd like to join a Mitra training group, or maybe you'd like to go on retreat, or why don't you go to Taraloka and do a retreat, or why don't you go to Padmaloka and do a retreat? So they're meeting a lot of different people at a lot of different times in their journeys. And then they're bringing that whole mandala in a way of what there is options to do and creating those helping create those conditions where you catch the Dharma and you go deeper, you catch the Sangha and you go deeper, and you catch the Dharma and you go deeper. And a lot of that is, so maybe you've been coming a little while and you talk to the Mitra convener and you talk about, they say, we've got this Mitra training groups, you could maybe start and go weekly. And then that's also encouraging a lot of other people. They have to pull 8 or 10 people together to create what we call study group. And they also have to maybe encourage order members. So that's a large part of what they do as well. Mitra conveners, as I say, when you look at who's here in the room and you think of the number of Mitras, I think there's probably 150 maybe Mitras in Manchester. So the two current Mitra conveners can't really do that on their own. They can't really look after and keep an eye on all of those Mitra conveners. They do a really, really good job at that. And then they think, well, there's all these other order members. We've got 80 or 90 order members now associated with the Manchester Buddhist Centre. So they get to know all of them, and they think, I wonder who of them would be interested to run a Mitra training group and share their practice and inspire others. So they sort of matchmake, put all of that together, make all of that happen for the person who wants to just make that next step. And then maybe you might remember on your journey, you're thinking, what is the Mitra? What is that? Mitra is becoming a friend of our community. And you think, maybe I better talk to the Mitra Convenor and talk about becoming a Mitra. So then they talk to you, they might talk to you a number of times, they might share things, encourage you, and create an opportunity, Mitra ceremonies, for you to become a Mitra, alongside 6, 7, 8, 10 other people. Again, lots and lots of very, very different people. So I think one of the major things about being a Mitra Convenor is that they have to be very wide, broad, open, very approachable, very diverse in who they see and talk to and deal with, and understand you and your journey in a way, your spiritual journey. But also there's quite a lot of care in there. You may not only go to them when you're really inspired and you want to ask to be a Mitra, or you maybe want to ask for ordination. You might also go because actually you're having a real crisis in your life and you think, who can I go and talk to about this? You go and talk to the lovely Mitra Convenors as well. They're there as a shoulder to cry on in a way. So you can imagine how much they hold and how much they care for people and how available they are as human beings for all of us, really. So it's a deep spiritual role that is really looking after people as they are, as they grow and as they change. And we all know the Dharma has a deep effect on people. So that's really meaningful relationships they're making. And then, as I said, there's these 80 or so order members that they're also getting to know. They're also encouraging to step forward to share their practice as best they would like, really. And I think that's a real skill. That's something I'm going to try really hard not to rejoice in Suryaka, because it's very hard not to rejoice in her. But I think Suryaka's been fantastic at really encouraging as many order members as possible to come and be part of the Sangha and help where they can, where they're inspired and what they want to share, and now they help. So, and then obviously there's all sorts of other things around that. They organise for us all to come together, whether that might be retreats, pulling retreat teams together, whether that might be days here at the centre, or as Suryaka did, inspired recently, took a load of women to go and do gardening and DIY for a whole week at Taraloka, to benefit Taraloka, but bring a lot of people together to share their spiritual life. So a Mitra Convenor convenes a whole breadth of things. They convene events, they convene people, they convene the order, they convene the Sangha in that way that helps us all share and grow together. So, I think there's a lot of subtle skills that are needed to do that well. And we've been so blessed in Manchester with a lot of great Mitra Convenors. I'm really delighted to have been a little bit of a part of that lineage, and that's continuing on. So I hope that's enough, Dan and Dee. That was kind of what I wanted to say. Okay.
Slip down.
Yeah, it's a little bit daunting.
Yeah. In the old days, we'd have been taught to project our voices, but I somehow missed that lesson, unfortunately. Thank you, Karanatara. I felt that you really brought the spirit of Mitra convening alive, and I just want to acknowledge again that Kalyana Prabha is here, who's the very, very first woman Mitra convener. You weren't? Oh. Sorry, who was? Well, Ratnaguna. Well, you were the first woman Mitra convener. Ratnaguna, thank you. But yeah, anyway, Kalyana Prabha, it's lovely that you've come for this ritual. Yeah. So I've got the lovely opportunity to introduce Suryaka a bit, and I'm going to say a bit about her history alongside the history of the Manchester Buddhist Centre, which is almost, the two things have gone hand in hand. I find it hard to imagine, actually, the Manchester Buddhist Centre without Suryaka. I feel quite sad, actually, when I say that. She's been so, very much the heart of everything in so many ways. So good at being up front and sort of holding big events, not just for women, but for the whole Sangha. So I feel as though, she's given such a lot. I know I'm not meant to be totally rejoicing, but I'm going to rejoice a bit as I go and say the history of Suryaka. So as I said earlier, yes, it's, I think, 19 out of the last 21 years she's been involved in the Manchester Buddhist Centre. And so I asked her about how it all came about, and she said that she came to her first newcomers meditation class when this building was in the last stages of its development. It was still being a bit of a building site, but they were holding classes in the Vajra Hall. So I guess they were stepping through the rubble as they came upstairs, and somebody had cleared a space in the Vajra Hall. And so that was 1995. It's still a building site. So Suryaka knew that it was for her quite quickly. I think sort of jumped in, as I can imagine Suryaka jumping in. She was called Helen at that time. And she was soon also volunteering in various places and supporting classes as well. And she worked in a Buddhist business which had been organised around the centre called Evolution. It was a shop selling lots of Eastern goods, which a whole chain of them actually around the movement, and great fundraising endeavours. So Suryaka worked in one of those shops for some time, and it was a way of actually working with other Buddhists, and very inspiring, and I think people grew a lot from those. Well, I was working in something similar myself. Great thing to do. Somebody needs to set one up. Jayadi can't do everything, but Jayadi's just arrived. That's a joke. That's a joke. Yeah. So, 1995 was when she first came to meditate, and then she joined the centre team in 2004. That was when she was still a Mitra, and she was, I think, perhaps anyway, mainly involved in looking after the maintenance of the building and health and safety, possibly lots of other bits and pieces of the admin, I guess, as well. And she got ordained a year later, 2005, which is when I moved to Manchester. So my knowledge of Suryaka and the Manchester Buddhist Centre really do go hand in hand. Got ordained a year later, yes, with her name meaning resembling the sun. And I thought, well, the sun just shines, doesn't it? It just shines. That's the nature of the sun, to shine. And I think of that with Suryaka, it's her nature, a very straightforward sort of shining nature that she has. Reliably and steadily warm and radiant. So she's played a huge part in shaping the Manchester Buddhist Centre. She has a flow of creative ideas, which I've realised more and more as I've got to know Suryaka and just seeing that over the years, that some of the big ideas that have happened around the Buddhist Centre have been her ideas. And the Tools for Living Your Life class was one of Suryaka's ideas. And that's really taken off. She was really involved in that and led or supported that class for years. I think that's probably the case. And it was really her heart child as well as her brain child. So yeah, she does have a lot of creative ideas. She became centre manager, so she was centre manager of the team working at the Buddhist Centre for 6 or 7 years. And when I was Mitra Convenor here, Suryaka, I think she became centre manager at that point, and I sort of witnessed her. The way she did that was by befriending members of the team, because she was very on it with the work, but she had this way of holding the task as well as the individual. She would really find out what was happening for people in the team, have long conversations with them about what it was that was important to them in their role as well, and sort of draw out those skills and draw out what was needed. And I think that was, well, she seems to be a very natural, gifted communicator, I would say. I know it's something that's very, very dear to her, is she wants to improve that and deepen that and extend that, and I won't say a bit about that in a moment, but yes, I think she is passionate about communication. Her communication is honest, open and transparent. I think I can just say that, and lots of nods. That is how you find Suryaka. With Suryaka, you know where you are. There are no elephants under the carpet with Suryaka. So you do know where you are, and that's very, very valuable, especially I think in a centre manager, but as in a friend, in a Mitra Convenor, in a human being, really. And I saw how the way she was helped substantially create a strong, harmonious team at the Buddhist Centre through that honesty, that directness. And I saw people blossoming and growing, actually, in the team. And I feel that was yeah, in a way, you didn't know quite what Suryaka was doing, but it was a big factor in that. Obviously, there were other people holding the team. She was working at the Buddhist Centre alongside a whole string of different centre chairs, so Artavardin and Moksha Jyoti, Artavardin, Daimala, Sila Bodhi, and now Lokeshvara. So she's been sort of flowed along with a lot of different, different ways of leading as well. She was a trustee, led classes and study groups, gave talks, led retreats, all of this. And I mean, 19 years is quite a lot. It's a lot of generosity of giving of your energy, isn't it? She's given her life in a way. I think she feels as though she's received her life. You sort of, when you give in that way, you're not losing anything. She's just been wholehearted in what she's done. So in 2019, Suryaka stepped back for a bit. She stepped back from the team, and she had a break, and she wanted to train in, and she did train in restorative justice, I think it's called. Is that right? It's a technique of communication, very, very helpful communication in terms of restoring disharmonies, that sort of thing. At the same time, supporting herself through teaching cycling to school children. And she'd be out there in all weathers. I think she enjoyed it on the whole. She'd have to cycle to the place where she taught cycling. I thought it was a bit tough. But she loved cycling, so there you go. Anyway, so she did that for a chunk of time. And then the role of Mitra Convenor became vacant in 2021. And she put herself forward for that. And yes, I guess it wasn't a big decision to take. So Suryaka became Mitra Convenor then. And then she stepped back into the team very wholeheartedly. I think each time she's added more, and I suppose in integration, she's become more and more integrated behind her giving of herself, I think, in her work. And I felt that even more so when she stepped in as Mitra Convenor. So she's been Mitra Convenor for women, and alongside Vishankar, they've both actually supported also non-binary people and trans people coming to the centre as much as possible as well, making that quite a clear objective. So, yeah. So I think Suryaka's energy, I feel as though it's become more and more free-flowing in the last few years, and has somehow come from an even deeper place, or maybe peacefulness in her as well. She's, there's been challenges. So it's not always a piece of cake being a Mitra Convenor. There are all sorts of challenges, and in being a trustee, there's big decisions to be taken. But I think she's just stepped into those bravely and wholeheartedly each time. And most recently, Suryaka's become what's known as a preceptor, a private preceptor, someone who is able to witness the spiritual practice, the depth of commitment of somebody through a personal connection, and ordain them into our order. So Suryaka was invited to do that a few years ago, 3 years ago, something like that. She ordained Arya Tara, who might be online. Is Arya Tara online? Anyway, hello Arya Tara, if you're there. So that was the first person Suryaka ordained, and Upaya Devi last year, who's since moved, well, she has moved she's living in Scarborough. So I feel as though that there's an extra depth, in taking on those responsibilities in Suryaka. And now she's come to a point where she's, who knows, a new unfoldment, a stepping back unfoldment is about to happen. A space is opening up, so we have to watch that space and we'll see what's going to emerge. So, yeah, come in. Maybe we'll get a round of applause for Suryaka at this point. I wanted to rejoice in everything she's done here, not just the Mitra convening, because it's been so substantial and that shouldn't be unmarked. However, we're now having the opportunity to listen to 3 women Mitras who've personally benefited a lot from Suryaka in her role as Mitra convener. So that's an even beautiful added point, particularly about Mitra convening, perhaps, or whatever it is they want to say. So I've got Beth and Nadia, and then Dorothy will be coming up one after the other. So let's invite Beth to come up and share her rejoicings.
Is that all right? Yeah. A bit further forward. Can everyone hear me? Yeah. I've got a bit of a sore throat, but hopefully it'll hold for 4 minutes. So I've written out what I want to say, but I do feel that Suryaka is a great exemplar of someone practicing the spiritual life who's inspired me a lot, so thank you. So my first impressions of Suryaka were mainly formed through the tools class online during lockdown when I first came along to this centre. And I immediately experienced her as someone who was very grounded as a person and in her communication with other people. She felt like someone very sturdy and solid, like a tree, and someone that I could really trust, even though I hadn't actually had a conversation with her at that point. She just felt like someone, very, very solid and someone I could trust. And also I could tell that she was kind of deeply rooted in meaning, and I've later found that that was through the 3 jewels. So she was also very warm and friendly as a person, which made it easy for me to reach out to her. Having never spoken to an order member before, I sent her an email, which I've gone and found, titled Next Steps in Buddhism. And it was a very eager email. I was quite new, and I was asking to join a Dharma study group and get more involved. I had a few misconceptions about what a Dharma study group was as well, but she responded really enthusiastically. She suggested volunteering opportunities for me to get involved in, and just took me seriously and offered to meet up with me, which I didn't really expect to receive in response to that email. And I know that she has also nurtured a lot of other people's enthusiasm. I feel that she really sees the uniqueness in everybody and sees their potential, the same way that the Buddha saw humanity as lotuses in a pond with the potential to grow and unfold. So since meeting Suryaka that first time, we've met up, I haven't counted, but there's been a lot of meetups since then on a very regular basis, which I've really appreciated. And that supported me to grow myself through her listening to me and asking really helpful questions to help me reflect on the conditions of my life. So this has allowed me to follow the stream of the Dharma through all of the twists and turns and making sometimes quite big life changes, leaving jobs, leaving relationships and things. And all of those things I trusted her to talk through to the ultimate degree. And she's been very involved in all of those kinds of life decisions that I've made. And even exploring doubts like, do I even have a connection with the Buddha? And I do. So she's played a big part in me choosing to become a Mitra and choosing to ask for ordination as well, partly through being that kind of exemplar, a role model. In the one-to-one meetups, I've really appreciated the flexibility that she's shown, just carefully considering what I needed as I was showing up each time. Like a blank slate of you're a new person every time. So sometimes, one time recently, I turned up after taking an Uber ride to town, and the Uber was very warm and very heavily perfumed. So I turned up really kind of flustered and not feeling great, but then we kind of thought about where would be an appropriate location to meet. Just those kinds of things, making sure that people feel comfortable. And that just shows her care. And I've just kind of observed her friendliness as well around the centre and out in public, going out for coffee and things as well. I've felt like the rays of the sun, Suryaka has an enriching and uplifting effect on those around her, and her enjoyment of other people and the world around her is an invitation for other people to do the same. She has also contributed greatly to the young Buddhist context through supporting me as a facilitator, co-leading sessions together, and some really memorable day retreats that she did, where some people got the opportunity to give personal talks for the first time. She also set up and co-led my Dharma study group, which there's some people in the room from here at the moment. And it was quite an experimental group. At the beginning, there was loads of us, and we were all kind of in the youngish category and mixed gender as well. So there was a few kind of different things about that study group. And I appreciate her taking a bit of a risk there and inviting lots of people in. And it's turned out such a success and really going strong. So I'll just end with a fond memory of an early retreat at Duke's Barn. Suryaka led a mantra to tidy away the mats and cushions and to ritually close the retreat. And the mantra that she led was Sabe Sata Sukhi Ontu, which is a mantra which means may all beings be well and happy. And I feel that that really encapsulates her essence and what she radiates. So thank you for everything, Suryaka.
Quite small. Oh, it's so gorgeous to see you all here. Yeah. Suryaka. Is that okay? Can you hear me all right? Yeah. So, there's so many qualities I could share about Suryaka, but I feel like it's really important to share some personal experience. So, before the pandemic, I decided to become a Mitra, and then the pandemic happened, so that didn't happen. And then in the pandemic, I decided to ask for ordination, so everything happened backwards. Yeah, but then, tragically, I lost a friend, stroke family member, very suddenly, and it was a big trauma that I went through in my life at that point. So that was 2021. So coming out of the pandemic, I met with Suryaka for the first time. So previous to that, it was Atra Shraddha. And yeah, so I was meeting Suryaka for the first time. Suryaka was asking me whether I was ready, to have the ceremony now. And it was just so much care and compassion, the active listening and non-judgmental attitude that I witnessed was just so beautiful and really heart-opening at that time, and especially when I was going through something so difficult. So I felt very hypervigilant. I was very sensitive. I didn't want to be seen. I didn't want to be witnessed within the Sangha. I didn't know whether I could go through a big event. I just wanted to kind of hide away, to be honest. And Suryaka was just so open in terms of, well, what can we do? What would work for you to kind of help you do this? And so we discussed options in terms of maybe having a personal ceremony, so completely different to the usual. But then we were curious whether I could make a big ceremony happen. And so I just spoke to Suryaka open-heartedly because I felt like I was able to. Like Suryaka just really met me with my Vedana, moment by moment, and not forcing me, not adding any pressure, just being with me. And so what happened was, the ceremony did happen, but I said to Suryaka, if on the day I don't feel like it, can I just pull out? And Suryaka was like, yeah, that's completely okay. And I also noticed at previous ceremonies that you would have like your friends maybe and family sat on the chairs there at the side. I asked Suryaka if I could have my friends sat right beside me for that support. So I was training to be a somatic practitioner, a trauma therapist, even though I was going through a big trauma in my life. So I kind of knew what I needed. I needed to have some flexibility. I needed options. And Suryaka was just so open-hearted with that. And on the day, when I was making offerings to the Buddha, Suryaka was like literally right by the shrine, just there, just alongside me. And when we think about trauma in life, having that sense of safety, dignity and belonging is so important. And Suryaka really did present that in every single way. And I'm just so grateful, you know, because at that point I felt like I don't know whether I wanted to come back into the Sangha even, you know, there was so much going on for me, like I mentioned with the hypervigilance. So, yeah, it was just profound, just having such attunement and that co-regulation. And then after the ceremony, me and Suryaka was meeting up on a regular basis, and she's just been a shining light, kind of helping me through different difficulties again and again, keeping me on the path actually, inspiring me by her own practice, by the way she shows up. She's consistent all the time, like literally I'm astonished that being a Mitra Convenor, you would see so many people, and I imagine sometimes it's quite tiring. You know, you're not just doing that, you're doing events and things like that, retreats, etc. But every time, when there's allocated time for Suryaka to see you, she is literally there, she is present, she is listening, she's not rushing you, she's not hurrying you along, and that is just such a gift. Just like what Beth was saying before, like a tree, just like groundedness and that consistency. So I'm forever grateful, and it doesn't feel like goodbye because I feel like we've developed this spiritual friendship now. And I would just say as well that, yeah, just truly from the heart, it has been completely transformational to have that, you know, on the path. Like we know, life is full of impermanence, nothing is fixed, everything is in flow. And I think also it's kind of provided some positivity for other people within the Sangha. You know, when there's a difficulty, as we know, there's worldly winds, things happen now and again, to know that there's options, that nothing has to stay the same, that nothing is stagnant, nothing is expected to be a certain way, that we can be flexible. That's really important. So I just want to say sadhu to you, Suryaka, and thank you for being such, yeah, a shining, radiant light. And yeah, you've made me just want to just be the same. And when we met, you know, on a regular basis, I started to want to give back naturally to Suryaka. Not just seeing Suryaka as a Mitra Convenor, Suryaka's a human being as well. And she's got all of this conditioning and all of these different layers. You know, that sometimes it's like you see somebody in a role and you think, right, I'll go to that person because they're going to do that thing and that's that. But no, it was like, how are you, Suryaka? What's going on for you in your life as well? Just that gratitude, that open-heartedness. So again, just being an example of living by the precepts as well. Deeds of love and kindness, open-handed generosity, yeah? And truthful communication, all of that. So sadhu, and thank you.
Hello, everybody. Okay, can you hear me? Okay, good. Whoa. Right, okay. Well, you didn't know I was a ventriloquist. Okay, so I'm going to pass you over to my friend who's going to read what I feel about Suryaka.
So I'm speaking Dorothy's words. I have come to know Suryaka more deeply over the past couple of years. We have met regularly for one-to-one conversation. Suryaka has always made time for this, even though she has been a very busy woman, as I think we've already heard. And I know she has met other women on the same basis. I'd like to rejoice in several of Suryaka's qualities that I have seen. It does seem to me that Suryaka has boundless energy. She is always seeking out the next thing that needs to happen. especially helping others and helping with things in general around the Sangha, for instance on special occasions at the centre or on retreat. She just seems to know what will be helpful to make things run smoothly. This comes from long and deep practice, including awareness of others in a variety of situations. She's very good at practical help, whether that's planting trees, which she has done by the thousand, or cleaning in the centre ahead of an event. So she gets stuck into whatever is needed without making a fuss about it. She shows a lot of virya, energy in pursuit of the good. Suryaka is trustworthy. She doesn't say things she doesn't mean. She's very honest with me. This trustworthiness also means that Suryaka takes her responsibilities very seriously. She spends a lot of time thinking through things carefully, and she does not overpromise. Suryaka instills a lot of confidence in me as she recognizes my qualities. She is a very encouraging and a very kind and compassionate person. Whenever I've been in conversation with her, I always come away feeling that my spirits have been raised. I always feel reassured that my practice is on track. This is because she recognizes the effort that I put into my practice. If I'm not feeling very confident about myself, she's very good at reflecting my positive qualities back to me. I always feel that I have been listened to and affirmed, and our conversations always give me something to think about. So from my perspective, with these qualities of energy, trustworthiness, awareness of self and other, kindness and compassion, I understand that Suryaka really sees people, who they are, where they are, and their potential. She sees people as individuals and wants to help them grow and progress in their practice. And she will put time and energy into that, whilst also working on her own practice and sharing that with honesty. In this way, I feel that Suryaka is truly practicing the Bodhisattva ideal. Suryaka, I wish you well and much happiness and joy in the next phase of your life in Wales with Colin, developing your practice even more deeply in a different set of conditions.
No, thank you very much, Dorothy. It's lovely. Well done. Thank you.
Well, wonderful, thank you. Thank you so much, Beth, Nadia, and Dorothy. You really brought out, I think, what Karen Atara was saying. Mitra convening is not an administrative or organizational role, or at least it has obviously got elements of that. It's so much more, it's the role of a spiritual friend and inspirer and human being, a real human being. So, yeah. I feel as though we've heard some very beautiful rejoicings in Suryaka, and there only remains right now for us to, if we are able to, maybe I'll just move back from the microphone and say 3 very hearty sadhus. Sadhu! 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 Hey! yes, if she can still speak, Suryaka's now going to share some of her own reflections with us, how we've been.
Can I stay there, or do I need to move? Stay there. Oh, I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. We'll work it out. Oh, I just feel like going, whew, blimey. Yeah, it's really quite strong to be rejoiced in, and also to, yeah, so as Diane Andy just sort of reflecting my journey over so many years. It's like, well, it's quite a strong experience, actually. Yeah. So yes, yeah. I'll just have a moment. Have a little whatever I need to do, sort of thing. Yeah, it's quite interesting to just sort of look out into the shrine room and see you all here, and then right in the corner back there is Helen Tweedale, who, well, me and Helen came along to the Buddhist Centre together over 30 years ago, having gone to Danakosha for, I don't know, we went about 2 or 3 years on the trot, didn't we? We were going like 2 or 3 times a year doing these yoga and meditation retreats, cheap holiday. And then we ventured into the Buddhist Centre together. And I'm so pleased to see you here, Helen. It's wonderful, yeah. And also, yeah, not very far away from Helen is Kalyana Prabha, who was my first Mitra Convenor. I remember my conversation with you about becoming a Mitra, Kalyana Prabha, and so lovely that we're still friends. We've become even closer friends, I would say, in the last few years. That's amazing, isn't it? She started off as my Mitra Convenor, and I find myself, developing a deeper and deeper friendship with Kalyana Prabha. It's lovely. Oh, anyway, yeah. So I did write some things down, and maybe I'll have a go. I was just saying to Colin on the way in, one of the little things that I've joked, we have a little thing with Vishankar over the years, is that, we've organised loads and loads of events, and when it comes to timing things, I'm always like, he'll say, oh, well, so-and-so needs like 10 minutes. I'm going, no, not 10, 2 minutes. I'm always like knocking down the timing, and then I thought, oh, today I've got 10 minutes, I might take 20. It's my day, I'll do what I want. So anyway, maybe it'll be 20, but anyway, we'll see. It might not be 20 minutes. But. So I think I'll probably read through my notes, and then I'll just see what sort of emerges really as I go along. But yeah. Thank you for coming, and thank you everybody online for sort of tuning in. It's sort of, yeah, I know I've got some good friends like Dayamala watching today, and Aryatara and various other people. Might even be some of my family and friends watching, I'm not sure. So yeah, as you've heard, around 30 years ago, I stepped through the doors of the Manchester Buddhist Centre when it was a building site. And I was very tentative, quiet person and curious about trying out this Introduction to Buddhism and Meditation course along with Helen. And you have no idea, do you? No idea where that would lead in my life. It was the start of over 30 years of exploring what on earth does it mean to try and follow the Buddhist teachings in my life, and what does it mean to be part of a spiritual community. And I'm still exploring that. That exploration just goes on and on and on. I've not got to the end of it by any means. And the people that I've met over all those years have had a huge impact on me. Kalyana Prabha I've already mentioned. And I think at that time, Kalyana Prabha, maybe there was just yourself and, well, Jaya Devi, maybe you were just the 2 Dharmacharanis in Manchester. That's amazing. Like 30 years ago, there was 2 Dharmacharanis in Manchester. And at that time, Arta Priya was the chair of the centre. And I'm going to read out to you the names of all the people who've been the Mitra conveners in Manchester. And I feel really fortunate because I've known all of these people, and all of those people in some way have had an impact on me. You know, they've inspired me, their examples. So, you know, hearing Beth and Nadia and Dorothy saying, oh, Suryaka, you know, you've had this impact, thinking, it's just this flow, isn't there, of friendship. And so I've been on the receiving end of this flow of friendship over the years from many, many people, not just the people who've been Mitra conveners, but I will mention them. So yeah, Kalina Prabha is right. Ratnaguna was the first Mitra convener for men and women in maybe around the late 70s, followed by Arta Priya, who did that for men and women, and then Kalina Prabha, you were the first woman Mitra convener. And then Dharmotra. Some of these people you'll know and some you won't know, but Dharmotra, who sadly died quite a few years ago. Kalyachitta, Jutika, you know, just, you'll be, some people are going, nodding their heads, yeah. Padmadarshini, who's another very good friend of mine. Dayanandi, another good friend of mine. Atra Shraddha, maybe you're online, Atra Shraddha, but yeah, thank you for your contribution as Mitra convener. And then myself, and then Shubhanita will be the next Mitra convener. And actually, what I remember about deciding to put myself forward was that I'd not thought that it's what I wanted to do. It had not been in my mind. And then I heard Atra Shraddha was going to step down. And I just got all these sort of butterflies in my stomach and, you know, like, oh God, maybe I want to do it, you know. I was a bit surprised, really. It wasn't in my mind, but it's a bit, something came over me. It was a bit like, I think I have to do this. I think I want to do this. So I became Mitra convener in 2021, and as Dayanandi's mentioned, I took on the role with Karunatara. So I just want to say thank you, Karunatara, not just from me, but I think a lot of women in Manchester have got a lot of gratitude to you and your contribution. So I think we've been a double act, you know, might have been Mitra convener assistant. No, it was a double act, really. I think me and you working together so closely, particularly those first couple of years. So thank you for your loyalty to me and friendship to me, inspiration, energy, care, creativity, and just how much you've responded to women in Manchester. Thank you very much. I'm just laughing. I wrote my notes. Colin, I hope you don't mind, but I used some of your old Skyline note paper. Very good quality paper. So just a quick shout out. I also met Colin, my partner, because he came to fix the roof at the Buddhist Centre. So that's still one of the boons of my connection with the MBC. Oh dear. I don't know. I could go on if I won't know. Stop. I'll embarrass you and me if I carry on. Anyway, becoming Mitra convener also meant that I continued to work really closely with Vishankar, who's been, I feel really emotional actually. We've just worked together for years, haven't we, at the Buddhist Centre. So yeah, a big thank you to you for, well, being someone who always stays close to the principles of what it means to lead a Dharma life, being up for doing what's needed, collaboratively working on all sorts of things around the MBC projects, doing what's needed. And yeah, I sort of refer to Vishankar as my Dharma hubby. Yeah, well, good friend indeed you are. Yeah. Yeah, and I suppose I'm repeating some things that have already been said, but I want to say them, so I will. Yeah, I just want to rejoice in the flow of Kalyana Mitrata that is very much alive in Manchester between people ordained, Mitras, friends at the centre. Just really witness that, and it's incredibly moving to be. You're in a position when you take on a role like Mitra convener where you sort of get to see the overview of this Sangha in a very particular way. So I get to witness so much friendship between people, not necessarily me with somebody else, but just seeing what's happening between people. And that is what makes a Buddhist centre. It's the flow of friendship between people. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, I want to say a bit about the some reflections I've had about the ritual objects. Yeah. So when I became Mitra Convenor, I remember very sincerely picking up the ritual objects from the shrine and then putting them back in their bag, and they've stayed on my shrine at home all that time. And I have to say, they've just stayed in a bag on my shrine, and I haven't really taken much notice of them until about a week ago. And I mean, I've looked at them occasionally, but I haven't really, I don't think I've really taken them seriously, actually. But a week or so ago, I got them out, and I thought, I really want to think about these objects and what their significance is as I prepare to hand them over to you, Shubhanita. I hope you don't do the same as me. So what are they about? I'm going to tell you what they are in a minute, but I just want to tell you about my little process, really. So I started to reflect on them, and as I did this, I was holding them and I was thinking about their qualities. I just felt this sort of energy and aliveness sort of in my being. I felt really alive to the Dharma life. Through connecting with these objects, I felt in touch with what's in my heart and what really matters, and life itself. It was just a beautiful experience. And I suppose where it led me to thinking about was there's that parable in it's the White Lotus Sutra, I think, about a precious jewel that a man sews into another man's coat. So I just want to tell that story and carry on these reflections, because it's really, something about this is really staying with me. So if you don't know the story, I think it's something like these two friends meet up, and one of the friends is really struggling in his life. He's quite poor. He's not really got many clothes or much to eat. He's just, suffering in his life. And the other friend is doing pretty okay, actually. And they spend time together, and then when the friend who's struggling goes to sleep that night, his friend sews a precious jewel into his coat or his robe or whatever he's wearing, I don't know what. And he does this because he wants him to have what he needs in his life. And he thinks, well, he'll discover the jewel, and he'll be able to go and buy as much food as he wants and clothes, and his life will be comfortable, he'll be fine. So he's gifting him this. So the next day, the friends get up and they go their separate ways. And then many years later, they meet again, and the friend who's been doing pretty well is, I think he's quite shocked, because his friend is still struggling. He still looks really poor, he's not got much to eat, he's struggling. And he says to him, did you not find the jewel that I put in your coat? And he says, no, I don't know anything about the jewel in the coat. And anyway, then he discovers it there. And so he's had this precious jewel with him all this time, and he never knew that it was there. So I think these, in a way, I've had these ritual objects as well. Yeah, I've had these ritual objects sort of gifted to me, and but I've not really paid them attention. And I think I've been gifted many things. Yeah. We've probably all been gifted many things, haven't we? We've all been given many things, either through the Dharma or through friends or whatever. We're gifted things over and over again, and we don't realise what we've been given. And So I feel like this is something very deep to reflect upon in my life, actually. It's so easy to get preoccupied with other things rather than the precious jewels we've been given. And I think a big part of my decision to step down as Mitra Convenor is that it's just sort of coming to me. I've sort of known why I want to step down, but this story, I'm thinking, oh, it's like I need time and space. I need to be in different conditions to give time to discovering and rediscovering the gifts that I've been given in my life. Whether that's through the Dharma or my family or friends, I need to sort of take it all seriously. Yeah. So I'm making a decision to go and spend time with Colin in Wales. So it's funny, people say, what are you going to do? So on the one hand, you know, on an outward level, yes, I'm going to be in Wales and I'm already busy painting and decorating and planting potatoes and goodness knows what, and leading a simpler, quieter life in rural Wales and waking up to bird song and, you know, the sheep in the field and goodness knows what. So that's one level what I'm doing. But on a deeper level, I'm leaving in this context in a way because I need to be somewhere different to sort of try and rediscover the precious jewels that I've been given. Yeah. So I hope, Shubhanita, that when I richly hand you the objects, that you won't just leave them in a bag and forget about them. I hope that you'll take them more seriously than I did, actually, and that they will inspire and guide and protect you as Mitra Convenor. Yeah. Okay, so I'm just going to share with you about the objects. So you know. Oh dear, snivel. Can you hold that while I blow my nose? So here we are. So the first ritual object is actually this golden bag. So there's a lovely story to this bag, which it was made by an order member in India called Jnana Shuri. And Jnana Shuri was one of the first Indian order members ordained by Bhante. And Jnana Shuri was present at the mass conversion that Dr. Ambedkar led in 1956 as a young woman or a young girl, when thousands and thousands of the ex-untouchable members of the community, ex-untouchable community in India converted to Buddhism, converted to a path of liberation and freedom. So this is very, very significant to have this as part of the ritual object for the Mitra Convenor in Manchester. It links us to Dr. Ambedkar, it links us to our Indian brothers and sisters and members of the order and Sangha in India, and to Jnana Shuri, who became the first woman public preceptor in India. It's very, very weighty, isn't it? Even that, just that golden bag holds so much richness. So, thank you, Jnana Shuri. And it's gold for the Buddha, yeah. So that's the first object. Nice bit of Velcro. And the second object, it's nice doing this because you don't know what's in the bag, do you? So, the second object is a Vajra. And I was thinking, oh, Vajras. Vajras, you know, we're also familiar with Vajras, aren't we? You know, another Vajra. But this one, this is a 9-pronged Vajra. They're not always 9-pronged. And it's supposed to be, a 9-pronged Vajra is supposed to be particularly used for empowerment and ritual. It's supposed to have extra special power. I suggest you reflect yourself on all sorts of things to do with the Vajra, but the thing I wanted to draw out is, I suppose there's something about holding something in your hand that represents the indestructibleness of truth, the truth of the Dharma. And also the central prong is about moving away from seeing things as being a dualistic way, to see there is no difference between self and other. There's no difference between self and other. So it's incredibly powerful symbol of truth and meaning. Yeah. So, you know, I wish I'd held that more often and reflected on that in my life as Mitra Convenor. So yeah, it's nice to hold it. And the third object, here we go, is a beautiful green mala, which was made by Mokshivardhani, who many of you will know, who used to be in Manchester. And it was made to really, it represents the Bodhisattva green Tara. So we haven't got a little rupa of green Tara, but what we have is this green mala. And it's to remind us of the particular qualities of Tara, which are that she's always swift to respond to the suffering that she sees around her, and she's always creative in how she responds. But also she's, you probably know she has one leg reaching out into the world and one in meditation, so she's very, very grounded as well. And it's said that green Tara will help us transform any fear you have. If you call on green Tara, she will help you transform any fears. Yeah. Swift to respond. Yeah. There's many, many other qualities of green Tara, but I'm sure you'll be able to reflect on those as well. Yeah. And green Tara is also the figure, there's every couple of times a year there's a meeting of all the Mitra Convenors in Europe, and we always have a rupa of green Tara on the shrine. So she's the figure that presides over all the Mitra Convenors. She's sort of the figure that we turn to for inspiration as Mitra Convenors throughout Europe. So that's the green Tara. So those are the ritual objects for Shubhanita. But there's a new object, which is this is not for particularly for Shubhanita as the Mitra Convenor, but this is a ritual object, a new ritual object, which really I'm entrusting to all the women in Manchester, yeah? And Shubhanita will look after it, but actually it's for all the women in Manchester who are following the Dharma life. And this ritual object emerged on a recent weekend retreat, and the thread was brought from Spain by Moksha Suri, and we used it to create a beautiful ritual on the weekend. And I was so moved by that on that weekend that when we thought, well, what are we going to do with this thread at the end of the weekend? You know, just, I don't know, cut it up, share it out, you know. No, it needs to stay as one thread. So at the end of that retreat, I gathered it up, richly gathered it up, and we read out a poem together, didn't we? Which I'll read out to you now. So this is to be used on any women's events. It doesn't have to be all women's events, but maybe particularly weekend retreats could have the thread out. You might read the poem, you might not, but it's to remember the lineage not of women, yeah, coming through the Manchester Buddhist Centre. We're the current band of women. There'll be future women. And it's a bit like this will help women remember that they're part of a lineage as well. Yeah. So that's what that thread is. So I'll read the poem out that we read on that retreat, and I think that'll be me finished. And and Colin, the little bit of wood that it's wrapped around, I took out of the shed without asking. So anyway, there you go. So the poem, let's find the poem. There's the poem. Oh, it's there, thank you. There's the poem. I think many of you might know this poem, but, well, I think it's a wonderful poem, this. It's called The Way It Is by William Stafford. There's a thread you follow. It goes among things that change, but it doesn't change. People wonder about what you are pursuing. You have to explain about the thread. But it is hard for others to see. While you hold it, you can't get lost. Tragedies happen. People get hurt or die, and you suffer and get old. Nothing you do can stop time's unfolding. You don't ever let go of the thread. I'll give you the poem as well. Yeah. So yeah, I just want to end by actually just picking up on something that you said, Diane Andy, when you said that I think Suryaka probably thinks that although people are saying how much I've given, that you said you thought I might probably felt like I'd been given a life or something like that, didn't you? And I really feel that, actually. So I don't feel exhausted. I don't feel oh, God, that's all over. I just feel I'm ready for a new phase. But the main thing I feel is that I've been gifted so much through being part of the Sangha, and also I happen to have been in a position where I could and I wanted to take responsibility, and I've transformed myself, I think, through doing that. And I've just got to witness so many other people on the path. It's incredibly inspiring to be a Mitra Convenor, because people do trust you, and you do get to witness really close at hand people transforming over and over again. So yeah, so I'm full of gratitude to all of you and people online and loads of people who aren't here. Just I've got a lot of gratitude, yeah, for everybody. So thank you all very much, and I wish you well. And once we get the spare room sorted, then we're open to visitors, aren't we? So thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
Gosh, I feel so moved by the beauty. Yeah, gosh. Thank you, Suryaka. That was a whole sort of just flow, like waves of teachings and blessings that are coming from Suryaka, I think. Thank you for just sharing yourself and your reflections. And I'm glad you're not burnt out. I didn't think you were, but I think everyone needs to know that. Gosh. So we're going to have a break now, which I think we perhaps need 10 minutes, maybe as quiet as we can be, break. Don't need to be utterly silent, but people might want just to, it's been very moving to sort of sit quietly and take that in, have a leg stretch, be back at precisely, well, 10 minutes is 3:25. We are running slightly late, so please don't be later than 3:25 to restart. And Shubhanita has been patiently waiting for, so we want to give her lots of time and rejoicing as well. Just wanted to start this second half by rejoicing in Vishankar again. And Suryaka was just saying how he just really helps, he does what's needed. And Vishankar made the shrine today, I think, maybe with some help, I'm not sure. No help. Vishankar made the shrine, and yeah, he doesn't sort of complain, or he rolls his energy out for the benefit of beings. So I think it's a very beautiful, appropriate shrine. And I'm sure Lokesh will say something about it. I won't translate that to here because one shouldn't criticize a rejoicing. Okay, so Shubhanita has been patiently sitting next to a glowing Suryaka. So Shubhanita, our Mitra Convenor 2B. I think it can be quite hard, can't it? In a way, waiting for yourself to sort of take something up when you hear how fantastic somebody's been. And I can sort of relate to feeling that way myself. But Shubhanita, we're going to hear now, in a way, how fantastic she is. A wonderful being Shubhanita is. Leela Shiri is going to come up first, and she's going to introduce us to Shubhanita, tell us a bit about how she came to be Mitra Convenor or something, I'm not sure exactly what. And after Leela Shiri's done that, Leslie Dillon, she's going to come up and rejoice in Shubhanita's merits, after which Shubhanita will have a chance to say a few words herself. So this is us sort of beginning to get to know our new women Mitra Convenor, and just a few words from each person, not a few words, but enough to really introduce Shubhanita and rejoice in her. So Leela Shiri first.
Hello everyone, really nice to see you all. I'm absolutely over the moon to introduce my good friend Shubhanita. And I think one of the phrases that came to mind was that we've been speaking about in past terms was there's some really big shoes to fill. Now Suryaka's stepping down, but I want to say that Shubhanita, you've got fabulous shoes. You've got absolutely fabulous shoes, so there'll be no problem of you filling those shoes at all, and you've got your own style of shoes. I've just got a few minutes, so hopefully I can do Shubhanita justice. Shubhanita and I have known each other for about 15 years, for as long as I've been coming to the centre. We were in Ratnasagara's study group after we've both completed an Introduction to Buddhism course. So that is a long time ago. We were also in a GFR group together as well, and now we're in chapter together since Shubhanita got ordained. So it's been really lovely to kind of walk alongside, I'd say, Shubhanita on her journey, and I know she's very much made a big difference to my life and my practice. So I've been tasked to introduce her, and at the top of my list is family. And we have Chris, who's here, who's Shubhanita's husband, and it's always lovely to see Chris at events. He's so supportive of Shubhanita, and family for her is incredibly important. She has a daughter called Alex, and Alex's partner Daryl, and she's a grandmother as well to Mila and Vinny. And she offers lots of love and support to all of them, and to her mum and dad as well. And I think, don't you dare. Oh gosh. And I put here nurturing because that's it. She is a very nurturing person, and I think she does embody that with her family. And and she'll definitely bring that into the Mitra convening role as well, that really beautiful whole-bodied nurturing presence. Shubhanita, as her paid work, has been a member of cabin crew for 27 years. Ooh, yeah, and she has her last flight next week, so that's quite significant, really. All those years flying, and she was sharing that one of the passengers on a flight recently asked her if being part of cabin crew was her dream job. And she said, yes it was. I mean, it's not anymore, but it used to, but it was. But she also shared that actually it took her about 4 years to actually to actually apply and get a job as cabin crew. Part of that was because at first she was too young, but also it's because she had a daughter as well. So there was a lot of discrimination then about mums taking on cabin crew roles. But she was absolutely determined that this is what she wanted to do. And she's very, very hard-working, Shubhanita. So she'll bring all these qualities into the Mitra convening role as well. Also, I say with cabin crew, it is a service job. She's in service all the time to people and responding to people's needs and people's demands, I would imagine, as well. So again, those qualities of being in service she'll be able to bring. So Shubhanita's, her name means she who is led by beauty. So we've heard that already a few times. So beauty in the sense of beauty of the Dharma. So for Shubhanita, you can very much see that in terms of her devotion and her faith and the beauty that comes from that. You can see the beauty in the sincerity of her practice as well and her devotion to Amitabha. But I think also you can see beauty in Shubhanita in terms of friendship. So when I think of Shubhanita, the word friendship always, it's like up there all the time. And she's friends to so many people in the Sangha. So Shubhanita joined the Mitra convening Kula quite quickly after she'd been ordained. She was very clear after she came back from the ordination retreat that she wanted to give her life more to the Dharma. She wanted to give her life to the MBC. And during part of that process, she's been meeting up with women in the Sangha and with Mitras. And quite consistently as well. I'm putting quite a lot of time and energy into that. So when the Mitra convener role came up, when Suryaka said she was going to step down, it was obvious in a way that she was going to go for that role. But also, it wasn't an easy process for her. If you think about being doing a particular job for 27 years, and then all of a sudden having this shift to something very, very different, it was a really, really big move for her, and she really did think about it very hard. To give up flying, to give up a particular salary as well, which you get, which you rely on. But I think there was something in her that knew that she'd have to say yes eventually, but she had to go through this a bit of like inner turmoil, I suppose, in a way, to get to that point of saying, yes, I'm going to do it. And I think you actually waited until the application day, didn't you, to apply, or the evening before? So it was right on the wire whether you would, but it's just like, yes. So I think we're all very glad that you did. So yeah, that's probably my time up now. But I suppose just one last thing to finish on, a bit of a nugget of Shubhanita, which you might not know about. Shubhanita has a massive crush on Maxine Peake. So much so that her darling husband Chris got her a big picture of Maxine to put in the living room as well. So there's a little nugget there of something you might not know about. So. Wishing you well.
Can you all hear me okay? Yeah. So I first met Shubhanita when I asked to explore the possibility of becoming a Mitra just over 18 months ago. And we met up a few times. Now, I don't know if I actually said this to you or not, but at the time, my mindset going into those meetings was, I want Shubhanita to convince me why I should become a Mitra. Because I didn't really see how my life would be any different, just all my friends were doing it, to be honest. Yeah, so why make it formal? But I really wasn't convinced that she would sway me, but she absolutely did. And here's why. So the first reason was her ability to listen and really make you feel heard. So there was never a sense of rush in the meetups that we had. The first few meetups were simply us just getting to know each other. And as a result, she fully understood my situation, my point of view, and the challenges that I was facing. And so her advice to me was really, really valid and really relevant to me. The second reason was her total lack of judgment during those meetings. So when we did actually get down to, nitty-gritty Dharma questions, if there were any that I couldn't answer, I didn't feel like I'd failed the test. She simply presented it as something for me to explore in our next meetup. And I'm thinking specifically about the questions that she asked about how I was already practicing precepts in my life and stuff like that. So it allowed me to really see if it was something I wanted to do. I was able to make a really informed decision. So this total lack of judgment helped me feel that no questions were off the cards at all. And yet I was able to make a really informed decision about whether being a Mitra was right for me. So the third reason, and probably the most important reason, was a specific piece of advice that she gave me, which I don't know if you'll even remember, but it's what makes me think she'll be a superb Mitra Convenor. So something that really stuck with me from a Going Deeper course I'd just finished was, and it had put me off really committing myself to the Dharma, if I'm honest. Just being honest. And it was the idea of us all having like a personal mandala. Yeah, and the idea that the 3 jewels should be at the centre of it. And I could see how that could work for some people, and I could see how that might work for me in the future, but I certainly couldn't see how that would work for me now. There was just no way that I could see the 3 jewels surpassing the importance of my family, really. And I told her this, and her advice, as simple as it was, has really transformed my relationship with the 3 jewels. She told me that it was absolutely fine to let the 3 jewels share the space at the centre of my mandala with anything else that was important to me, especially my family. And that was just amazing. Immediately, the image of green Tara came to mind. She's described as having her left foot rested upon her thigh in meditation posture, while her right foot steps gracefully forwards to enter the world of suffering beings, making her the one who ferries across from samsara to nirvana. And in a similar way, I really feel that Shubhanita has a foot firmly in both camps. She is totally committed to being a Buddhist and to the 3 jewels, whilst also, as we heard from Leela Shori, totally committed to her own family, her career and her lifestyle. And it's because of this that I really think she will be a fantastic Mitra Convenor. And I do, when I heard the news, I was dead chuffed. Yeah, I think she's the perfect person to do it. I think she's just the perfect person for modern people to turn to for advice, as her openness and lack of judgment will allow her to offer relevant and accessible guidance that recognises our spiritual goals and ideals, whilst helping us also to navigate the trials and tribulations that samsara throws at us. So thank you, Shubhanita, for taking over from Suryaka, and I really do think only good will come from your new role. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so I was told to turn up today, and I didn't have to say anything. Just go with the flow, and you don't have to say anything. So I haven't prepared anything. It's been lovely to sit back actually and listen to all the rejoicing in you, Suryaka, and in myself now. Thank you, both of you. And to be here, I'm thinking of part of the lineage, the Mitra Convenors that are in the room. Like, just to be part of that, I feel really honoured and blessed that I'm in a position that can pick up the ritual objects and hold them dear to my heart and carry them forward from today onwards. So yes, I'm just really excited about that, and also excited to get to know everybody a bit more on a personal level, work alongside a lot of you, and I know, like, I've been with a lot of Dharmacharanys before today, and you've all offered support, and I know that we'll be a great team together. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that, and thank you to Suryaka she's given such a great handover, really organised, and spent a lot of time with me going through things and been really patient when I've kind of been like, what? You know, all of this. And she's like, yes, but I'm giving you all this information. It doesn't mean it's all going to happen at once. This is like, this could happen over like a year or so, but I just need to kind of learn it now. So, yeah, but thanks for being so patient. And yeah, thanks to my family as well. Some are online and friends that have supported me to move towards making the decision and been around when I've had all that angst about what to do and talked it through with me. Really appreciate that. And yeah, you know, everybody's input into helping me to get to this part of my life where I am now, that I'm able to, like I say, move in the direction that my heart wants to move in. So yes, thank you everyone. Thanks.
Yay. Oh. So Shubhanita, she looks beautiful, doesn't she? As well as following beauty and being led by beauty. There's the beauty of being in Shubhanita. Yes. What I was going to say, I'm just really looking forward to the qualities that Shubhanita will bring, actually, as Mitra Convenor. I think there are going to be many, and just, yeah, it feels as though you have a lot to offer, a lot behind you, and I'm in the chapter with Shubhanita, so I speak from that experience of, from the very beginning, when she got ordained, she was just sort of right there as felt like an equal with everybody in the chapter and able just to sort of speak up, and again, a bit like Suryaka, very, very strong qualities as a communicator, very honest, open, transparent, and a lot of integrity. So, yeah, Sadhu Shubhanita. I'm going to hand over now to Lakeshvara. I guess it'll just be a minute while we get ourselves sorted for, he's going to lead us in the puja and ritual handover of the, Mitra convening. So maybe we can do a round of applause for Shubhanita while this happens.
Yes, so this, it's my great honour, it feels, actually, to sort of to sit here and have this this ritual where at some point in the puja, which will be after the Going for Refuge verse, Suryaka, you'll come up and make an offering and then place those ritual objects on the shrine. And then Shubhanita, you'll come up and make the offering and take those ritual objects. And then you're also going to say the ordination vows. Do you want to do that in front of the shrine or from where you're sitting?
I'll do it from here because it's accepting.
Yeah. Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, so you can just take those objects, go back to your place and say that. So that will happen. We're going to do a sevenfold puja together. And I'll just say one or two things before we start that. I'll tell you what we're going to do first. So we'll start off with a reading. Dynandy's going to read some extracts from a piece of writing Bhante Sangharachita did in the 1950s on the good friend. And then we're going to go through the sevenfold puja. Varasaki will lead us in the Avalokiteshvara mantra. Now, just because of our timings and so on, I don't think we'll do offerings at that point. We'll go through the verses, Going for Refuge verse, and that will be the point of this this kind of ritual handover. And when that little bit is completed, we'll do the refuges and precepts together, the refuges and 5 precepts, the rest of the verses with another reading after entreaty and supplication, which will be the vow of Avalokiteshvara, read by Sila Devi. And then at the end of the puja, after the transference of merit, we'll finish with the Padmasambhava mantra. Jayadi will start us in that. And if you want to make an offering, we'll do so at that point. Yeah. So that's the sort of the form or the flow, if you like. And what did I want to say? Sitting here with you two, what I tell you what was coming to mind, right, was I was sitting over there, and I often think of this. There's a little bit of a talk. Like, we all know that we talk about friendship in our community, but there's a particular way that Sangharajta talked about it in a talk maybe 20 years ago. And you know, we often study this very famous sutta, which is a conversation between the Buddha and Ananda, you know, when he says, the Buddha says, "Say not so, Ananda, that spiritual friendship is the whole of the spiritual life, or the whole of the Dharma life." And Sangharajta's comment at this particular time was, I'm not sure that any Buddhist tradition thus far has taken that line as seriously as we try and take it. So that's quite an extraordinary thing to say. And that is, you know, that is Sangharajta. I mean, it's, you know, as he says himself, it's not easy, and who on earth would ever want to, you know, create a Buddhist community in the sense of like how difficult it is. And as he says himself, there were so many obstacles, and I feel like I was the least capable person to do it. And yet he also, therefore, he was also free, though, to think what was really helpful for people and what is there in the tradition that maybe hasn't been made fully explicit, but is there. It's absolutely is there. Those words are there. The whole of the spiritual life, friendship. So, you know, there were some things. He didn't just draw that out just because it's there. He thought, I think that is what people need. And, you know, and that was part of his own journey. And, you know, there are times when, you know, we know this from his memoirs, that he yearned for friendship and it wasn't always very available to him. And Vishenka put on the shrine, actually, this little picture of Sangharajta with his 8 main teachers. And I think, in particular, his friendship with Dado Rinpoche showed him what true friendship in the Dharma life was. And perhaps, you know, that connection between Dado Rinpoche and Sangharajta manifests in how seriously we take friendship in our community, and a very particular type of friendship. So when you know, there's something about Mitra Convenor, which simply means to bring together friends. There's something about that you're honouring something which is so important. It's like an experiment, in a new experiment in the history of Buddhism that is trying to honour something that the Buddha said, and perhaps has never been, the attempt to honour it has never been made as clearly as it is now. And there's something about those people in our community who become Mitra Convenors. I think it's an incredibly special demographic of people. I've been around them for all of my order life. I know quite a lot of the women Mitra Convenors, and I know almost all of the men Mitra Convenors, and they are a very special demographic of people. They're very, very special. And Shubhanita, you are totally worthy of joining that kula. My getting to know you over these last months, I'm just like, yep, I totally get why you respond to that, and you are worthy to join that It is a very, very, very special cooler of people. Some of you are in this room as well who have done that in the past. So, it's a remarkable, we're part of an experiment really in the Dharma life. It's not, that it's multifaceted, right? But we place this idea of really deep, trusting relationships with a little bit of verticality, but not like the same as like a guru who lives 7 valleys away, as I said recently. We actually get to witness each other up, we get to witness each other really closely, which means we're not afraid to show our limitations to each other, yeah? So our Mitra Convenors are willing to do that as well. So anyway, I just wanted to say that as a little bit of context for this ritual, and a little bit of context from Sangharakshita, and perhaps the archetype is his friendship with Dada Rinpoche. So I think that is all I want to say by way of introducing this ritual. Maybe just one other thing then about the significance of ritual. And ritual and initiation, are things that it's so important to honor that. And it's like they amplify something in a very positive way for us. So I think the fact that there's a to my mind at least, there's an initiatory element to this, which is the offering to the shrine and then the passing over of these ritual objects. And I will say, Suryaka, the fact that you haven't used them much, it didn't actually surprise me, right? And it doesn't perturb me either, because I received the most wonderful four-armed Avalokiteshvara when I was order convener. I didn't always remember it. It sat on my shrine and so on. It's there if you need it. And actually, I think they become very potent at these moments of transition and transformation. So I think their potency actually resides in these times, and however much they get remembered and used, going forwards, that just depends. Sometimes on a dark day, it can be incredibly helpful, and that the transcendental symbolism of them can be very, very important. But yeah, maybe they just stay there on your shrine. Maybe they'll just stay there on your shrine, Shubhanita, who knows? But anyway, thank you for the way that you described them, Suryaka. So I think it's important to have some ritual objects, and I think it's important to have a ritual, and it's important for rituals to be witnessed, right? So that's why we're here. It's important for a community to witness a ritual initiation. So without further ado, what we'll do then is just have a minute to settle, and then Dayanandi will read these extracts from The Good Friend, and that will just take us straight into the puja.
The Good Friend. What we may designate as friendship love, or simply friendship, is the most typical emotional form of the selfless desire to unite. It is therefore in friendship, the Buddhist virtue of Maitri, and the sentiments kindred to it, that among all the relationships of human life, we may find in its rudimentary form at least the emotional equivalent of the intellectual understanding of the doctrine of no self. Behind every manifestation of friendship, of Maitri, from the lowest to the highest, lies, as the heartbeat behind the rhythm of the pulses, the central psychological fact of the more or less radical denial of the selfish individual will. And it is due to the presence of this partial negation of selfhood, of the joyous merging of one's own being in the being of another, that friendship and its kindred emotions are so richly endowed with potentialities for spiritual development. If, however, those potentialities are to be actualized, it is necessary to cultivate, during the formative period of one's spiritual career at least, the friendship of the good rather than of the wicked. The ideal of the good friend, a Kalyana Mitra, in the ordinary social acceptation of the term, now passes over into that of the good friend in an exalted spiritual sense. For the difference between the two is not one of kind, but only of degree. The good friend becomes by insensible degrees the trusted counsellor that becomes the spiritual guide or guru the bodhisattva, and the bodhisattva the Buddha. Just as among the colours of the rainbow, red merges imperceptibly into orange, orange into yellow, yellow into green, and so on. The Buddha is described in the scriptures as the good friend, for his love, Maitri, for all sentient beings, his understanding, prajna, of in what consists their highest good, and his resolve, pranidhana, to help them in every possible way to realize it, are not limited and contingent in character like those exhibited by mundane friends, but on the contrary unlimited and absolute.
Sevenfold Puja. Firstly, worship. With Mandarava, blue lotus and jasmine. With all flowers pleasing and fragrant. And with garlands skillfully woven. I pay honour to the princes of the sages. So worthy of veneration. I envelop them in clouds of incense. Sweet and penetrating. I make them offerings of food hard and soft. And pleasing kinds of liquids to drink. I offer them lamps encrusted with jewels. Festooned with golden lotus. On the paving sprinkled with perfume. I scatter handfuls of beautiful flowers.
Om Mani Padme Hum, 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 Om
salutation. As many atoms as there are, in the 1,000 million worlds, so many times I make reverent salutation, to all the Buddhas of the three eras, to the Siddharma, and to the excellent community. I pay homage to all the shrines and places in which the Bodhisattvas have been. I make profound obeisance to the teachers and those to whom respectful salutation is due. Going for refuge. This very day, I go for my refuge. To the powerful protectors, whose purpose is to guard the universe. The mighty conquerors who overcome suffering everywhere. Wholeheartedly also I take my refuge. In the Dharma they have ascertained. Which is the abode of security against the rounds of rebirth. Likewise in the host of bodhisattvas. I take my refuge. So we pause here and we have the ritual handover.
With loyalty to my teachers, I accept this responsibility. In harmony with friends and companions, I accept this responsibility. For the attainment of enlightenment, I accept this responsibility. And for the benefit of all beings, I accept this responsibility.
Thank you. So we'll continue with the refuges and precepts together. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi, Dhammāṃ saranang gacchāmi, Sanghāṃ saranang gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Dhammāṃ saranang gacchāmi, Dutiyampi Sanghāṃ saranang gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Buddhaṃ saranang gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Dhammāṃ saranang gacchāmi, Tatiyampi Sanghāṃ saranang gacchāmi. Panatipata Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhyami. Atanadana Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhyami. Kamesu Mechachara Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhyami. Musavada Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhyami. Suramerya Macha Pamatatana Veramani Sikkhapadam Samadhyami. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. With deeds of loving kindness, I purify my body. With open-handed generosity, I purify my body. With stillness, simplicity, and contentment, I purify my body. With truthful communication, I purify my speech. With mindfulness clear and radiant, I purify my mind. Confession of faults. The evil that I have heaped up, through my ignorance and foolishness, evil in the world of everyday experience, as well as evil in understanding and intelligence. All that I acknowledge to the protectors. standing before them, with hands raised in reverence, and terrified of suffering. I pay salutations again and again. May the leaders receive this kindly. Just as it is with its many faults. What is not good, O protectors? I shall not do again. Rejoicing in merit. I rejoice with delight. In the good done by all beings. Through which they obtain rest. With the end of suffering. May those who have suffered be happy. I rejoice in the release of beings. From the sufferings of the rounds of existence. I rejoice in the nature of the Bodhisattva. And the Buddha. Who are protectors. I rejoice in the arising of the will to enlightenment. And the teaching. Those oceans that bring happiness to all beings. And are the abode of welfare of all beings. Entreaty and supplication. Saluting them with folded hands. I entreat the Buddhas in all the quarters. May they make shine the lamp of the Dharma. For those wandering in the suffering of delusion. With hands folded in reverence. I implore the conquerors desiring to enter nirvana. May they remain here for endless ages. So that life in this world does not grow dark.
The vow of Avalokiteshvara from the door of liberation. Long ago, Arya Avalokiteshvara made this vow before the 1,000 Buddhas. May I be able to establish in emancipation all the living beings in the barbaric land of snow, where beings are so hard to discipline, and none of the Buddhas of the 3 times have stepped. May these beings be disciplined by me. May I be like a father and mother to those who are now helpless. May I be their guide, leading them to freedom. May I burn the lamp to chase away the gloom of barbarism. In that country, may I extend, for as long as possible, the teachings of the Tathagatas of the 3 times. In hearing the name of the 3 jewels, may the many beings of the land of snow go for refuge and obtain rebirth as human or gods. May they have the opportunity to enjoy the holy Dharma. May I be able to mature
and emancipate them, each according to his own way. May that gloomy and barbaric country become bright, like an island of precious jewels. Before his teaching, Amitabha, Arya Avalokiteshvara also vowed, may I have the opportunity to establish all living beings in happiness, beginning with those in the land of snow. Until I relieve all living beings, may I never, even for a moment, feel like giving up the purpose of others for my own peace and happiness. If I should ever think of my own happiness, may my head be cracked into 10 pieces like the Ardzaka plant, and may my body be split into 1,000 pieces like the petals of a lotus. Having made this promise, he travelled throughout the 6 realms of samsara, teaching all living beings the 84,000 teachings of Dharma by means of the 6-syllable mantra Om Mani Padme Hum. In each realm he freed beings from their particular miseries and taught the Dharma to those who wished to hear it. Finally, he went to Tibet, the land of snow. Gazing over the Tibetan nation from the peak of Red Mountain, he had a vision of countless beings burning alive in an ocean of fire. Witnessing the misery of these beings, he wept heartfelt tears. The goddesses Tara and Prakriti miraculously appeared from his teardrops and encouraged the Bodhisattva, promising to help him with the great task of teaching the Tibetans. Avalokiteshvara went among the Tibetans and taught them the mantra Om Mani Padme Hum, pronouncing the words of the Dharma with infinite compassion. Then he entered the meditation of Bodhi mind, making a long and intense effort to dispel the misery of beings and bring them to happiness. Exhausted by his efforts, he entered the meditation of restoration. For a second time, he gazed out over the land and saw that he had not helped even 1/100th of the beings of the land of snow to enter the bliss of liberation. He was seized by bitter sorrow, and for an instant the thought arose, what is the use? I can do nothing for them. It is better to be happy and peaceful myself. At that moment, his head cracked into 10 pieces, and his body split into 1,000 parts. In agony, he cried out to Amitabha Buddha, who appeared before him in the sky. Placing his hand on Avalokiteshvara's shattered head, he said, all circumstances come from cooperative causes, conditioned at the moment of intent. Every fortune which arises to anyone results from his own former wish. Your powerful expression of supplication was praised by all the Buddhas. In a moment of time, the truth will certainly appear. Then Amitabha blessed him and transfigured the pieces of his head into 10 faces, one for each of the 10 transcendences. He also blessed the broken body, transfiguring the torn flesh into 1,000 hands, each with its own wisdom eye, so that the Bodhisattva had 1,000 eyes, and his vision became as that of the 1,000 Buddhas of the Golden Aeon. On the crown of the 10-faced head, Amitabha placed himself, and he radiated boundless, inconceivable light.
the Heart Sutra. The Bodhisattva of compassion, when he meditated deeply, saw the emptiness of all five skandhas and sundered the bonds that caused him suffering. Here then, form is no other than emptiness, emptiness no other than form. Form is only emptiness, emptiness only form. Feeling, thought and choice, consciousness itself, are the same as this. All things are by nature void. They are not born or destroyed, nor are they stained or pure, nor do they wax or wane. So, in emptiness, no form, no feeling, thought or choice, nor is there consciousness. No eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, mind. No colour, sound, smell, taste, touch, or what the mind takes hold of, nor even act of sensing. No ignorance or end of it, nor all that comes from ignorance. No withering, no death, no end of them. Nor is there pain or cause of pain, or cease in pain, or noble path to lead from pain. Not even wisdom to attain. Attainment too is emptiness. So know that the Bodhisattva, holding to nothing whatever, but dwelling in prajna wisdom, is freed of delusive hindrance, rid of the fear bred by it, and reaches clearest nirvana. All Buddhas of past and present, Buddhas of future time, using this prajna wisdom, come to full and perfect vision. Hear then the great Dharani, the radiant peerless mantra, the prajna paramita, whose words allay all pain. Hear and believe its truth. Gate, gate, pada gate, pada sangate, bodhi swaha. Gate, gate, pada gate, pada sangate, bodhi swaha. Is that okay? Thank you all for coming and witnessing this ceremony, and thank you for those of you online as well, and thank you tech team for making that happen. Those of you here are welcome to join us for tea downstairs. Well, thank you, Suryaka and Shubhanita, and for all of the rejoicings that have happened in both of you. It's been a privilege to be part of this afternoon. Thank you. Thank you all.